Hi there, students. Did you know that you can use should instead of if? But you need to do it right. Let me give you some examples. Should they pay you £1,000? What will you do? Should they pay you £1,000? What would they do? So notice this is an inversion. Yeah, the should is in an interrogative form at the beginning of the sentence. So should followed by the subject of the sentence. Should they pay? If they pay is the same. Okay, so should they pay you £1,000, what will you do? If they pay you £1,000, what will you do? Or even, if they should pay you £1,000, what will you do? So, notice this is a first conditional. You can use should in both first and second conditionals. So, should they pay you £1,000, what would you do? That's a second conditional. Should they pay you £1,000, what will you do? So notice the first conditional one is a real conditional, and the second one is an unreal conditional. Now we use this should you for present and future conditions. Notice this should means in the event that. It's nothing to do with obligation at all. So in the event that they pay you £1,000, what will you do? Or in the event that they pay you £1,000, what would you do? Notice the will is much more probable than the would. So to make these constructions, take a first conditional. If you study, you will pass your exam. Then we can go, if you should study, you will pass your exam. And then just put the inversion at the beginning, take away the if. Should you study, you will pass your exam. Okay, that's an example of doing it in the first conditional. The same sentence in the second conditional. If you studied, notice if you studied, but I know you don't study, so you're not going to. If you studied, you would pass. If you should study, you would pass. Should you study, you would pass. Should you study, should he study, should the students work hard, then ... Now the next question is formality. So, if you study, you will pass. This is quite neutral and definitely quite informal compared to the other two. If you should study, you will pass. I think this use of if you should, this is very formal, and this phrase I would only write. Now I've read several places in internet that they say the inversion is even more formal, but I disagree with that. Should you study, you will pass. I think this you can use in a conversation. It certainly sounds more formal than if you study, you will pass. But I could definitely say, should you study, you will pass. Should you study, you would pass. So it's more formal than if you study or if you studied, but in my opinion, less formal than if you should study. If you should study, it sounds old-fashioned, and I would reserve that only for very formal writing. So if you're taking an exam, I would recommend using should you, the inversion in the spoken section, and then if you should, when you are writing something very formal. Now, one other point. Should you not arrive in time, then go directly into the meeting. Should you not arrive, you can't contract that not. You mustn't contract it. If you contract it, it's wrong. So, should you not arrive in time? If you don't arrive in time, okay? Or maybe even if you didn't arrive in time. So notice, should inversion, use it instead of if. It's more formal than a normal if clause, but less formal than if you should. This should means in the event that. Should he get angry, ignore him. Should the car break down, ring me. Should they have problems, they will be able to look after themselves. Okay, so inversion with should instead of if. So I hope I've covered everything. So should you have enjoyed the video, then I strongly suggest that you give it a rating. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Should inversion instead of if.